On this week's DIY, we're going to make this egg and a half into this gorgeous little Easter bunny with a bonnet. Welcome to my channel. If you're new, I do step-by-step tutorials and make whatever comes into my mind on that day. So to start with, oh, sorry, the dog's barking. Sorry, that wasn't a good start. I don't know what she's barking at. I think I'm waiting for a delivery, but she's very good at letting me know when there's delivery. So to start with this little project, we'll start by making the bonnet first. So this is just a plastic egg turned upside down in a shot glass with the smaller side of the egg at the top, because that's the only part we're going to use to make the bonnet. And then we attached, using hot glue, the end of some twine at the very top there, and really made sure that we got those first few turns well glued on so that it would be nice and tight and wrap round without showing bits of the egg through. So then I ended it about here because it's easier to finish off the rest of it later on. And then I took my roll of masking tape, because this looked like it would be the perfect size. Do around it with a pen and then just cut this out. I feel a bit guilty using this card because it was a thank you card, but you just kind of keep everything, can you? Anyway, it's getting used for something beautiful. So, and then I thought I'll just check to make sure that that's the right size for the hat. And then used hot glue to go around the edge very carefully, and then stuck that on. That wasn't quite straight, but once it's stuck with the hot glue on the paper like this. And then for the rest of the bonnet, I just glued some more twine around the very edge of the top of this part, and then just all the way around. So this really did need glue going all the way around, where when I was doing the centre of the hat, I could glue every inch or so. So I just glued around and around the inside here until I got right up to the egg part of the hat, and then just glued the twine around the base of the egg bit there. That is the cutest little hat I've ever made. I did actually attach some twine on the very edge as well, just to hide the edge of the rim. That's super cute. So next, what I decided to do was add some ribbon around the top of the hat. Yeah, the middle of the hat. But this ribbon was just a bit too wide, so I just trimmed it in two, and then I just used some hot glue to stick a length on. The raggy end, or the end that I'd cut, I kind of had that facing down, so that if it was going to look raggy, you wouldn't see it so much. I'm just using a piece of bark here because it's just nice and short to hold the glue down. And then I glued a cute little bow on the front. Oh, I thought that was definitely the cutest little hat, or potentially the only ever hat I've ever made at Easter time, apart from the kids' Easter bonnets when they were at school. A long time ago, like 20 years ago. I just trimmed off that little bit of glue there, and I just love that little hat. So cute, so easy to do. So next, for the rabbit's head, or the bunny head, I just took a plastic egg. I just stood it in a shot glass. It just seems to be a good, or you could use an egg cup. And then I put some masking tape around it just to hold it closed, and then I just folded up little pieces of masking tape. So I'm just putting these over the front, like the top of the head, around to the front of the face, just to add a little bit, to add a little bit definition. It's basically so that I can put the eyes, draw the eyes on, and they look like they're recessed back a little bit. So I just, as you can see there, it's just kind of straightened it out a little bit. And then just kept putting bits of tape on. Just mainly building up this section. So from between the ears, around to where the little face is. I covered the rest of the egg, but that was just really one layer of masking tape thick. Apart from the cheeks, I just folded up some masking tape, and then cut the sharp edges, or the kind of angular edges off, and just made it into a circle, and then just made the cheeks a little bit chubbier on the bunny, and then just use some tape just to secure them on. And then finally, for building up the kind of the shape of the face, I just tightly rolled some pieces of masking tape like this, and put it where I think just above the eye will be. And then that will really help me have a little bit of a recessed area where I can draw the eye, like in here. So it might be a good idea to mark with a pen. If you're trying this project, mark with a pen where you think the eye should go, and then it helps you decide the bits around it to build out a little bit. I just used the egg there to smooth this out, which is actually a really good thing to use. So next for the ears, I just folded up some more of the card and then took my scissors and just cut out a bunny ear shape. So try to keep the bottom bit here quite wide. I'll show you why in a minute. And then just cut out a bunny ear shape. Try not to make it symmetrical. Just try to make it kind of straight around one side and round on the other side. And then just cut that. So, oops. So there's my 2 bunny ears. And then I cut 2 little slits on the bottom of each ear. I've done this when I've done my jumping bunny toilet roll project 2 weeks ago now. And I've done the same thing there. So if you followed that video, you would have seen me do this. It's a really easy way on attaching ears on. And then just use some tape over the little tabs there. And it does hold on really well, considering it's holding on like a tiny little tab. And then just put some tape on that tab first. It's just much easier to do it this way. And then just secure that on like that. And then just check the ears are in the right position. You can easily cut more ears. You can easily re-stick the ears on. So just secure them on. Make sure there's plenty of tape around the bottom of them. And then it just makes them a little bit stronger for the next stage. And just secure that side on as well. It's amazing how it just, 2 little ears like that just totally transform this egg, don't they? And then I used a sharp cutting knife and just cut into both of the sides, either side here, just so I could try and curl the ear in a little bit, just to add a little bit shape to it. So as long as that ear is well masked down to the main head, then you'll be able to do this no problem. And then just secure those little bits on to keep the curl in a little bit fiddly, but so here's a good idea. So if you put some masking tape on the ear, you can just use your knife to cut out these sections here, and then you can just wrap the ear just in one go. So I will be covering this whole head, but it's a good idea just to cover the whole thing with masking tape. It makes it stronger. So next I mix some PVA glue into some water and put some book paper strips in. And just let them soak for just 10 minutes, I think. And then one by one, just pasted on or just kind of attached on separate little pieces of book paper. It's a little bit fiddly this, but if you go slow so it has time to kind of attach into the paper that's already on there, because it obviously it sticks better onto the paper than onto the masking tape. But if you just build it up slowly, then it'll work out. I didn't hardly put any glue in the water, so I'm surprised it stuck so well, but it obviously doesn't need much glue in the water. And then I left that to dry. I actually left that on my radiator to dry, and it dried fine. I dried quite quickly. So next, what I decided, right, well, first of all, you can see that there was a hanger on there. I was going to make 3 separate projects, and then I thought, I'm just going to do 2. And I'm going to see if I can somehow get the bonnet to fit on the rabbit's head, which I'm not sure if it was going to, I really wasn't sure if it was going to work out because of just the shapes of the eggs. So then I cut out the inside bit of the egg there and then carefully took the tag back off. I just used an actual egg just to roughly remind myself where the inside of the egg was there. And then I just used a sharp craft knife. If you push down carefully with a knife like this into the egg, it will cut quite easily. And then I used a big pair of scissors just to push that hole in more. And then push the rabbit through the ears, pop through the top. A few little bits of twine came up. So I just glued them down. I wasn't too bothered about a few little like loose bits around the ears because I think it looks quite nice how it looks a bit like its ears have pushed through the straw hat. And then I mixed a little bit of paint. Thank you for my support on Patreon. I bought myself some new paints this month. So I'm getting used to using paints actually because I haven't really used paints before in projects. So thank you. That help is much appreciated. So I lined the eyes up here with the nose and then just done a little line and then a little circle within it. I just used a pen here at first to mark the face. You can always go over this with paint if you feel like you haven't quite getting any of the details right on the face. And then I used some pink. I just mixed a little bit white and red. A little bit paint there. A tiny little bit pink here as well under the nose. I didn't want to add too much to this, the bunny. I wanted to keep it quite white. Added a little bit black paint here just to make the mouth stand out more. And then to the eyes, just try to do the shape a rabbit eye is, so it's not quite a circle. I put a little bit pink here as well, just dotted my finger on a little bit of the wet paint and just dab that on. I think that's starting to look super cute. But I do feel like I want the bonnet to wrap around more. It looks a little bit like it's sitting, the hat's not sitting quite round the head. So I trimmed the bow smaller on here so that I could add like a strap from under the bonnet around the head of the rabbit, and also that would pull the sides in like this. Oh, it looks super cute. So I've only really got this thick of ribbon here, or the twine, and I didn't want to cut the other stuff in half, so I've got this lump of, it's actually like a vintagey bow, like a messy bow. I had this attached to my DIY vintage rabbit cushion that I made one of my very first projects about 10 years ago. And yes, oh, here she is. She keeps barking. I have to keep re-editing the video because I can hear her barking. I think she wants to see what I'm doing. So yes, I've just used a piece of ribbon from that tassel. I took the tassel off recently, actually, off that bunny cushion because I'm taking it away. We're just about to go away in the camper van tonight on a little trip around Scotland for Easter, or the beginning of Easter. And I can't wait. So I'm taking the bunny cushion, but I just took the tassel off because it was a bit fussy, a bit fancy. So anyway, it's not going to look much different with just one piece of material off, I'm sure. So I just glued on 2 separate pieces of this ribbon. I must get some more ribbons and materials. That's the next thing I'm going to buy. It's just to add to my crafts. I like to add bits of texture to stuff. How cute does he look? Or she look? How cute does she look? I've just straightened the bow out. And next, I just glued on a couple of little pieces of twine just into the bit of the hat that bent round, because it exposed a little bit of the cord underneath. So just carefully glued a few little bits down, added a few little bits into the gap, and then it looked absolutely fine. Just using a skewer here is really handy to use the skewers for attaching the hot glue. I just trimmed that. And then for the top, I just used a piece of twine for a hanger. I cut a tight little knot in the end of some twine and glued the knot on. And I tried to have the loop facing backwards, just so that it wasn't hanging over the front of the bunny's head. That is the cutest little bunny head, isn't it? And just made out of just simple things. Next, would just purely to make my life more difficult. I always do this. I always keep adding on and adding on. Originally, this project was going to be just a little rabbit head, Easter bonnet, and I think I was just going to also have an egg. So I was going to do just 3 separate decorations, but once I seen how cute this little bonnet was, I just thought I have to somehow get this to fit onto the rabbit. I'm so pleased it's turned out, and it worked. The 2 eggs together just seemed to fit together once I curved the hat round and added tiny little pieces of twine and unravelled to glue on little whiskers. So I've loved this and those previous projects behind there. Check those out at the end here. I'll leave a link to those. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great week.